All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the Pseudo Snort Report. Welcome to Goutopia, and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, because that is a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? This here is in place of your regularly scheduled program for reasons, and it's kind of funny because what was supposed to come out today, if there was something wrong with that wouldn't have been a problem. There was two more to kind of back that up, and something happened with those too. So the luck this week has been something rather special. But I've been assured that it'll be worked out and whatnot. So, stuff happens. And, it's a thing. But in anything, we're still trying to stay on a posting schedule. So this will go up instead. And I swore I had already recorded doing this, but we can't find that recording either, so I have to do it over. But that's okay though. A couple days have gone by. My thought process has changed slightly, so it won't be a big deal. A couple of quick updates and whatnot, and then we will move on to the situation at hand. First off, big ups to Raven. I saw your post, and my apologies if I ended up giving them the wrong link, or if the wrong link was posted. We'll look for it. I have been messing around with a mix as it pertains to that Sean theme, but I've never posted it. So, but the one that's being played is actually posted by someone who does really like great work when it comes to sorry, I'm going through like a bit of a brain spasm here. The old school Adult Swim bumps and whatnot, and that's kind of what they do, and then they expand off to some other stuff. We will find the original. We'll go ahead and post it under your comment, and this way you'll have it, and then I'll make sure that gets rectified moving forward. So my apologies on that. But big ups for catching that though. Thank you very, very much. But there are some really good mixes of that Sean theme out there. I think it's the sunrise, or it's the sunset theme, I think. One of the two. But it's a really good mix. But big ups to Raven. We'll get that worked out. Let's see. Oh, and big ups to Jay. Jay's been going through it and whatnot, and I'm sure someone has already responded to your comment at this point. But I'd like to say, man, best wishes. Get well soon, man. And like I said, I hope everything goes well, because Jesus Christ, like you really went through it and whatnot. Like I said, and I wish you well, man. Like I said, I hope things work out, and I could once I can reach back out to people. I'd like to hear more about your situation and everything like that. So hopefully you're going to be doing well, man. Like I said, best wishes all around from everybody here at GTG Network and Productions, and all of our affiliates, and SnortBucks Coffee and all of that. Also, big ups to Declan Reed. I hope you're doing well as well. And like I said, as soon as I get a chance to reach out to people, I will certainly do so. And I'd like to definitely get a chance to chat it up with you. You, Ghostly Wins, James the Lesser. There's a bunch of people I'd like to go ahead and talk to. So like I said, big ups to all of you guys. But like I said, I wish everybody well. Hopefully you guys are going to be doing okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to have two videos that are going to make up our broadcast. One by, here, let me get to my notes because I'm a professional. I'm not a professional. I just played one on YouTube poorly. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. It's brought to us by AN1337, or Ann Lee, I think is actually how it's meant to be pronounced. My apologies either which way. But they have a smorgasbord of different stuff here, but the one that we'll be going over today will be, I feel like a failure. I feel like I failed as a content creator. Wow. With 34% positivity. They posted this on January 31st of 2021. The link will be down in the description. Now, as much as I'm going to have a good time poking holes into that nonsense, I wanted to try to be thorough. Kinda. So, on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to follow that up with a video that goes all the way back to 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present you 30k subs and Modern Warfare 2 update. This was published on November 8th of 2009. the Darksydephil YouTube channel, the original one. I will have the link to that down in the description as well. We're going to do a bit of a comparison. Should be fun. And that's that and whatnot. And like I said, hopefully we can get things worked out and whatnot, and we can get the report that was supposed to come out in the place of this out to you guys. I'd like to hopefully see it get out. I don't know if it'll come out in the same day, but if not, hopefully, like, you know what I'm saying, the next day or whatever, and so on and so forth. So this way you guys have that. I'm really trying to stay consistent with this, but things happen. So put the blame on me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, let me go ahead and get us all squared away, and I'll see you guys in just a second. All right? Yeah. Oh, no ETA on Twitter yet. Not yet. Help.
Monday now is going to be Immortals Phoenix Rising on the early stream, because it was going to be Hitman, but I beat Hitman. Alright, so it'll be Immortals Phoenix Rising on the early, and tomorrow night we're doing Assassin's Creed on the late stream, and then Monday now is going to be Immortals Phoenix Rising on the early stream, because it was going to be Hitman, but I beat Hitman. Alright, so it'll be Immortals Phoenix Rising on the early stream on Monday, and then Monday night I'm going to do my best games of 2020 countdown, which is going to have more games than the disappointing list. But as someone said tonight, it may be shorter. It may actually be a shorter, oh, I didn't even realize this was on. Sorry, guys. I didn't even realize this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Ann Lee. I feel like I failed as a content creator. DSP/34% positivity. This was published on January 31st of 2021. The link will be down in the description. Now, as it pertains to this nonsense. Okay. Him failing as a content creator, he said he felt like he failed as a content creator. He did fail. He failed a long time ago. A long time ago. Now, there are various points in Darksydephil's history where people feel like he failed, or he lost his way, or whatever the case may be. We will explore some of those in a struggle against the grease somewhere down the line. But I think it's fair to say that when, at least for Phil, you could say this for some content creators, but Phil, I think, is the classic example of it. When money came into it, it is when he failed. Is when he absolutely fucking failed. When money was introduced in a big way, when I'm talking about, like, not YouTube vlogging money, I'm not talking about donations that he was taking behind the scenes, as he likes to call it. I'm talking about when YouTube money, gaming money, came into play. That's when it all got fucked up for him, to be honest. In the beginning, it was all about crowdfunding. I'll show you an example of that after this. And it was all about the moral and emotional support. It fed something. This all fed something that he wasn't getting in his regular life. He wasn't getting from the FGC. It made him feel important. It made him feel wanted. Right? That's what these people gave him. In turn, people gobbled up everything that he put out. Kind of. The mythos is that they gobbled up everything that he actually put out. That's not actually the case. I'll show you another example of that as we move along. In truth, he was a very fat hog in a very, very small pig pen. to be honest. That's really what it comes down to. There were other people out there. There was other people getting it. There was other people pushing the envelope on what all this eventually became, right? As it pertains to the gaming community and in the entertainment community in general on YouTube. And Phil was in the middle of that. He could have taken so much from that and grown, not only as a content creator, but as a person. Excuse me. And he chose not to do that because the bare minimum that he was putting out was good enough. Because other people praised him. Other people gave him all this attention. People were willing to give him large amounts of money. So why did he feel the need to go ahead and do all of the things that other people are doing when look at what he's already acquired, right? Now, at the same time, Phil is an ungrateful, resentful piece of shit. So even when other people were still doing well and making strides in other areas, he wanted that too. He felt like he was deserving of that, but he didn't want to put the effort in to get it. And that leads into the problems. Now, I'm telling you all this, ladies and gentlemen, to lay out the roadmap to what Phil's failure was. He failed from the beginning. He was a born failure. He failed from the beginning. But as long as he got his nourishment in the areas that he wanted, he was fine. And he was fine continuing to do it the way he was doing it all the way up until the present day, until he was forced to change. And when you're forced to change, it usually means that you're already behind the eight ball. You're already behind the times. What was it that one of his longtime viewers called him? A dinosaur. Yeah, he was a dinosaur at that point. He got old before he allowed himself to get old. Or before he should have gotten old, I should say. His content ended up falling that way as well. He became so dependent on the people around him instead of doing for self. Which goes back to the situation where, oh, I'm a one-man band. I'm doing all this myself. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I don't have this. I don't have that. It's just me. And that's a lie. He's always had someone there from the beginning. Whether it was John, Howard, OJ, or whoever else. Whether it was people in his audience and whatnot. There was always someone backing up Darksydephil. But he needed to keep them back far enough to where you only see him and not everybody else. Until there was real profitability to come in, which is why, John and Howard got milked the way they did. You know what I mean? And actually, now that I think about it, because I'm going to be working on the John and Howard response for the Fight Club channel, the fact that John got paid, which makes sense that John got paid, because John was literally there since the goddamn beginning. But Howard got nothing. Howard got absolutely fucking nothing. Blows my mind. Especially when Howard threw in money for the Project 7 shirts. It was $900 each one of them. Him, John, and Phil threw in $300 apiece. He, if you think about it, Howard lost time and money over that. Over his whole friendship with Phil to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, he lost time and money. You know what I mean? And then ended up years later getting shitted on essentially for his existence, being relegated from, oh, he's one of my buddies, to, oh, he's one of John's buddies, to, oh, he's just an associate, to, oh, he's just some guy who kind of hung out with us. I think John, or Howard especially, deserved a little bit more than that. Than just be relegated to just the proverbial third wheel. Jesus Christ, I think OJ may get a little bit more recognition than that. That's kind of wild. Now, don't get me wrong. Howard certainly was closer to John than anything. That's why those guys are close now. But Jesus Christ, he ain't helped out Phil too. I mean, you said Phil went ahead and was using his and John's Super Turbo cabinet as his own personal arcade cabinet, basically. You know what I'm saying? And he admits to doing that, going over there plenty of times and practicing for hours on end and shit. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, when you go back to some of his early, to Darksydephil's early shilling videos or DSP tries it videos, when he's talking about those King of Hate bottles or the Darksydephil bottles or whatever from Cafe Press, he talks about, oh yeah, I take this right here, I fill it up with water, and I go over there and I practice with John and Howard for hours on end and whatnot, and they kind of laugh at me about it, but hey, it keeps me hydrated, keeps my drink of choice cool, so what do I care? Same type of concept. Only to end up fucking shitting on Howard later on over an arcade board that you, first off, why did Phil order it? Two, you gave it to Howard because Howard had a cabinet, right? And you said you couldn't do shit with it, and he's like, hey, if you can get it working, you can have it. Howard says, hey, I ended up getting that board working. You know what I'm saying? And I would assume the continuation of that was, you know, hey, if you want to come by and try this version of Super Turbo, you know, let me know. You can swing by and practice with us or whatever. And Phil's like, oh, well, that's cool. When can I get that back? The fuck you need it for? You don't have a cabinet. That's the reason why you let it go in the first place. Why the fuck did you even buy it? And I'll tell you why he bought it. He bought it because when he heard that John and Howard had an arcade cabinet, he was like, you know what? I want one too. Now, he probably wasn't going to get a heads-up one like John and Howard have, but he was probably going to get a standalone, which Phil, honestly, probably should have bought himself a standalone cabinet. Or he bought it because when he was helping to run ECC, he probably was going to try to use it for that. Or someone gave it to him for it. No, he actually said he bought it. I can't remember why he said he bought it, but he did buy it, I think. He was probably going to try to use it for some type of tournament. And he didn't know anybody that could get it squared away for him. The point being is that just off of the few examples I've given you, you're seeing a lot of the reasons why he failed as a content creator. You see a lot of the reasons why he's failed as a person. But let's go ahead and get into this clip, and I'll talk more about it as we go along.
Stupid thing was on. It may end up being a shorter countdown because I'm going to be praising the games.
I think because I'm going over SnortBucks videos anyway, so eventually we'll come up on his countdown list. But I'm sure that was an absolute clusterfuck. I'm sure that was actually that was a complete and total rip. I heard that he had a bug snatch rant that was just out of this fucking world. So I can't wait to see that. That should be cool.
And praising a game actually is usually shorter than, you know, criticizing a game. So we'll see. Okay. Sir Spartan King Cheerdy says it was the best stream of the week so far. Thank you, Sir Spartan King. Someone just said I sound sad. I mean, do you want me to be honest? Yeah. When I put out a day like today, like I felt playing Hitman 3 earlier today, I really enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun. People were interacting and everything, and it was great. Tonight, I thought that was a great countdown, and you guys were giving me feedback like you liked it. And then I look like, wow, $34. I couldn't even make it like halfway to the tip score. That's frustrating. This is my business as well as.
So you finished Hitman and whatever. You had a good time with it. People were interacting with you. I don't know if that completely translates that people actually enjoyed what they got. I mean, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But I don't know if I feel that way. Like, yes, the content creator needs to derive some type of emotion out of the content that they put out, right? But but the audience is who you're targeting, right? They're the ones who need to have essentially the true payoff of satisfaction, in air quotes, if you will, at the end of the day. That's why you put it out. You put it out for people to absorb or ingest or whatever the case may be, since Phil likes food related stuff, and to like it, which is what keeps them not only watching it longer, but keeps them coming back. It's not about, oh, Darksydephil had a great time, guys, so, you know, let's throw him a bunch of money because he had a good time. That's people, if you're going to go by that logic, and there are people who do that, don't get me wrong, then you're invested in the person, not what the person's doing. There's a difference. There's clearly a difference. You're telling the audience, hey, don't enjoy what I'm doing. Enjoy me enjoying what I'm doing. And basically be happy because I'm happy. Essentially. That's essentially what he wants. And so it's not even about what he's playing. That's incidental, essentially. I need you guys to be personally invested in me and how I feel, how I'm doing, what my problems are, what my strifes are in life, and so on and so forth. Which is funny because he says that he's a this is a gaming stream. We don't need to talk about, you know, politics or any type of personal stuff or stuff going on in the real world, unless Darksydephil wants to speak on it. And then when he does want to speak on it, and he does, then he cuts everybody else off. Most people aren't allowed to respond because, oh, that's not what the stream's for. I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts, my opinion, and that's it. Well, Phil, you want these people to interact with you, right? Because there are plenty of clips and montages out there. Oh, well, guys, it's been It's been a slow night, and no one's really talking to me right now. I don't know what's really going on. I thought you guys liked this, 2 or 3 days ago, but now no one's really interacting with me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's... You guys have all heard all that. That sad-ass pig story. But yet, he does all of this strictly for self. Not for anybody else. You could say at one time, he did try to do it for the audience. And he did want to be entertaining, in air quotes, and whatnot. And that though he was, as I stated earlier, deriving personal pleasure from it, and benefit, obviously, he was still trying, keywords trying, to do what the audience wanted to keep them engaged and to keep them coming. But look at where he's at now. It's all about him, and that's it. And it's funny for someone who says this is his hobby, it sounds like he treated this shit like a 9 to 5. And just because he's been around for a long ass time, he deserves seniority of some type. And he shits on people who are younger than him and certainly more talented than him and who turned out to be more successful. No one owes you anything because you paved the way or you were a trailblazer or whatever. Most of those people are lost to the annals of history anyway. At the end of the day, he had all of the opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, to be more than what he eventually became. And he chose not to. So, we already talked about the Hitman part. Let's talk about this countdown shit. Yet again, I put all this effort into it, this and that, and I thought more people would come out and appreciate it and support it or so on and so forth. Why? Why? What effort did you really put in? This wasn't an edited video or anything. This is just a bunch of shit you strung together and threw in the OBS. And then you're just giving your opinion on it. Essentially, you're just reacting to your own content. Where was the hard work at? Let's continue. Maybe he'll explain it.
My hobby, and when I look at that, that's frustrating to me. It is. It makes me disappointed, like I did something wrong or I didn't do something good enough. Because like I told you guys, it seems to go hand in hand. If you guys are liking the content I'm putting out, you'll support it, right? That's how it works.
Not necessarily. Anybody can absorb the content and not feel a need to give you any type of residuals for it. I'm going to bring this back a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because you see that in all different areas of content creation, no matter what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of people who put it out just for an audience reaction. There are plenty of people who put this out because they're trying to feed something of their own. There are people who put it out for profit. There are people who do things for a lot of reasons, to be honest. But no one has to feel entitled to give you anything. Now, here's where the pignosis comes into play. He has conditioned them. He has conditioned them in all of his time streaming, at least all of his time after the end of 2016, that, hey, YouTube fell out. I fucked up with Machinima, right? He still won't admit that, but that's what happened. He fucked up with Machinima. This is the cash cow now. And I need you guys to support me because if not, there's no other way of going about it. Well, that's funny because I thought Phil was successful. And I thought Phil's legacy, right, is successful. His begacy, if you will, was successful. But in truth, that's all it is. It was always about begging. It was always about crowdfunding. So then you weren't really successful. Yes, you convinced a bunch of people to give you money. Okay, good for you. But where was your actual success at? Why is it that people look at you on Twitter with either disdain or pity? And even the ones who look at you with pity get backlash for pitying you, so then they can't even do that. You don't have a friend in the world outside the few people who follow you, and sadly, for all kinds of interesting reasons, they're all either fucking man babies, pedos, or whatever other nonsense. You know what I mean? Like all kinds of... He's got this mixed bag of all of these absolutely exceptional individuals, right? That couldn't defend themselves if they were not even attacked, but pressed on anything. So how the hell are they going to defend you? And if you want to go ahead and go back to him being successful as a derivative, I should say, of him convincing people to give him money, you somehow convinced these idiots, some of them anyway, to give you money thinking that hurts other people, which is amazing. But outside of that, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That encompasses everything. And it doesn't even really matter because at the end of the day, he fucked all the money up. He fucked up all the crowd support. He fucked up the fan base. He fucked up the audience. He screwed up everything, right, that his low effort content ended up building for him. He screwed it all up. And then tried in these pathetic sort of ways years later to try to pick up the ball and try to run with it again, but the game's over. And not even over in an entertaining sort of way of like Al Bundy, Married with Children, right? Not even like that. Like, it's done. It's been done. You can't even say that he has 4 touchdowns in a single game, right? Well, actually Phil can because his 4th place finish at Evo, if you want to try to meme that up. But even then, you know what I'm saying? That kind of means something. People, well, didn't Kelly actually forget that in an episode? Because there are like clips and stuff like that on YouTube. I've been binge watching a lot of that shit lately. That shit's fucking hilarious. Yeah, actually she forgot it on the game show. But that's not really her fault though, because that went back into Bud's thesis that for when you put information into Kelly, she's going to lose something and she's going to end up losing something else to replace it. She has very limited data, if you will, or very limited memory, right? So when you introduce something, she's going to lose something. So that's ended up being one of the big things in the end. That was hilarious. Anyway, point being is he did it to himself. He failed himself. And the work that you put out is low effort. And you've tried for many years to convince people that what you do has value, that you yourself should be praised, you yourself should be acknowledged, you yourself should be held in some type of high regard. He actually bitches about that even to this day, that he doesn't want to be taken he doesn't want to be looked at as a joke. He wants to be revered. He wants to be respected. When he says something on Twitter, what was his exact wording? Something thought out and intelligent and factual. He wants to be praised for that. Why? It's Twitter. No one gives a fuck really about what anybody says on Twitter, unless you're somebody. So you kind of need that to some degree to build off of it. Or you need someone who is a somebody to acknowledge it and then build off of it. But you yourself, you don't mean anything. You're just another asshole farting online. This isn't hard to figure out. But yet he doesn't want to accept it, but then again, he doesn't want to do anything to change it. And if you don't want to accept what your fate is, fine. Then do something to change it. But he won't. It's not that he can't, but he won't. And in truth, and I'll be the first one to say it, even if he could, it wouldn't matter. And that right there might be the true tragedy of it all.
If you guys are liking the content I'm putting out, you'll support it, right? That's how it works. Last year, I got so much support, and it seems like this year it's been rougher, and it makes me feel like I'm not doing a good enough job. You know,
you're not.
It does.
And
it makes
the
me feel
fact that the year gets harder, that the years get harder and harder and harder when you do very little to plan for it, only makes sense. Let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. His only 2 big successes, in air quotes, that he had was winning the bankruptcy, and I honestly think that was just because of the situation. It was because of the pandemic and whatnot. I think if that wasn't there and someone actually took the liberty of going through his shit with a fine-tooth comb, and then the vestry. And that was something that the fan base came up with. Same thing with the vest celebration. That was something that the fan base came up with. And he still fucked them both up, which went back to what I just said literally a couple seconds ago, that that's what he does. He figures out a way, or he goes out of his way to fuck everything up that he has going for himself. Just like he did with YouTube. Just like what he did with Machinima. Just like what he did with Curse. Just like what he did with Blip TV. The only person who gets in Darksydephil's way is Darksydephil. And yet again, you would think after all these years, goddamn, he's going to be 30, he's going to be 39 soon. Like, you still ain't figured that out yet? You're almost 40. You're almost 40. You can't just keep going through life blaming everybody else for your same shit. But I think because people sit there and pat him on the head and say, oh, it's okay, Phil, and the fact that his fucking mother still fucking sits there and says, oh, don't worry, Phil, it'll get better, or don't worry, Phil, we have your support, or whatever, that's all he needs. That's all he wants, I think. I think he realizes it's too hard to try to do anything else now. And trying to improve and everything, no, it's too hard. Trying to improve oneself is just, it's not even worth it to him anymore. Let him just try to get all the bells and whistles that work right outside the box, right? And hope that more people will basically fall into the pig pit and then be subjected to the pignosis. Outside of that, what else can he offer? And he don't have no shame about it. He's like, oh, all streamers do this. All streamers beg? Really? Show me that. Show me a clip of Tim the Tatman doing that shit. Or Dr. Disrespect. Or Shroud. Or Ninja. Or any of them dudes. Jesus Christ. Even fucking Thoughts have, well, some have more fucking respect for themselves than that. To some degree, anyway. I don't know. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And when you think about the Vest Streak when you look at the Vest Streak in its purest form, he's just the reverse stripper. You pay attractive women to fucking take their clothes off, right? People paid him to put clothes on. How do you fuck that up? How do you screw that up? Outside of gaining a lot of weight to where you can't put the vests on anymore. But other than that, how do you screw that up? And yet he figured out a way to do so. He couldn't just sit there and collect the money and just snort all the way to the bank or all the way to the Apple Store cards or whatever, and then go ahead and blow that shit on WWE Champions. He couldn't do that. He sat there and had to let his ego get the best of him. Because he's sitting here listening to all these people making the potato head jokes with the fucking platinum vest and all this, that, and the third, and he's feeling uncomfortable because he feels like just because he gets the $100 for the vest streak, or for the vest goal, I should say, he still deserves more than that, and he's not getting that. So he's just fighting for just the $100 each and every day. Well, each and every stream, I should say. And he's not getting anything more. And so that's pissing him off. But yet he wasn't brave enough to go ahead and raise the vest streak amount to 200 each stream instead of 100 and see if he can get that a little bit more. Or, I don't know, maybe do a little more. That's why when he ended up getting pulling that chair out of the Nook, that's why he did the fucking bubbles. That's why the gunner glasses were introduced. All of these things were him trying to rebalance, recorrect how he was doing the vest streak. And he thought that if he adds all these other little things to the dumb shit, that maybe he can make it work. Maybe they can start the vest streak over and it can be even more successful. If they have smaller milestones to hit. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work. It didn't work. He should have done that. You need to implement things while you're successful at anything. You should still be trying to tweak things. You should still be trying to readjust things. Because there's always room for improvement. Whether you're at the top of the mountain or not. And that just doesn't go for Phil. That goes for everybody, essentially. Because there are a lot of people who've been doing this thing the same way for a long period of time and consider themselves successful so they don't feel a need to change. Some people don't have to. People appreciate and enjoy consistency. And that's all well and good. You know what I'm saying? But if you want more, you have to do more. But just because you're working, but that doesn't mean you always have to work harder. Sometimes you just, well, all the time if you can, you should be trying to work smarter. And that's not something he's ever really done, or it certainly has never really clicked with him. And for someone who holds himself on such an intellectual pedestal, you would think, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you solve a problem. You know what I mean?
I'm done doing a good enough job. You got streamers out there, all they do is turn on the stream and people throw them fucking money. It's crazy. Like, those are the people who don't need it. The people who have contracts already to stream. I actually need help for the next 2 weeks so I can afford shit until I get paid by Twitch. But you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. And that frustrates me.
But I thought you were successful, though. But then that also goes back to the crutch of all this is money. Money is how he defines success. And a lot of us do. The problem with Phil... the problem is it's short-term thinking to obtain short-term goals. That's it. Like, think about what he said in the statement right here. I'll bring it back for you guys. He's talking about, I really need that money for this week. Well, what about the money for next month? What about the money for 3 months from now? 6 months from now? 9 or a year from now? What about that money? What about the need for that? Right? What about that? He can't give you that. But him being upset that people can turn on their streams and that shit fucking prints money, I mean, that's whatever. Phil doesn't really care about the time and the effort and everything they put into it. He looks at it from a superficial level, basically at the surface. He looks at it from a surface level on what they're doing in the few minutes that he may watch the stream, right? And think, well, I can do that, so why don't people pay me like that? He doesn't see what the struggle was. He doesn't see what it took to get there, which is funny because Phil wants everybody to appreciate his legacy. Go back and watch this, go back and watch that, and see how he's grown over the years. But yet he won't do that for anybody else. And this jealousy and his envy for money is what hurts him more than anything. It's actually been the death nail in all of this for him. Because remember, the pig lore is, I did this as a hobby and I was able to turn it into my job. But in truth, he was always looking at this to be his end game. This was always going to be what he does from here on out. He wasn't going to work at that helicopter company forever, no matter how much they pushed him along into the company or how much money he made. If he could make more money doing this, then he was always going to do it. He was always going to do it. It was just a matter of how many people can you get invested into your bullshit and to believe what you have to say and push you forward. Because that particular mindset, right, is what he thinks other streamers do. It's not about the content they put out. It's not about the personality that goes with it. It's not about the actual interactions and everything. Because he thinks he has all of those things, despite the fact that he doesn't. But he thinks he has all those things. He looks at it as, you guys are just giving this person money to exist and that's it. You guys know that they have guaranteed contracts. You know they have sponsorships and endorsement deals. Why the fuck do you still feel the need to give them money when they're already making loads of money? Well, I could say for one point of it is for the acknowledgement and for the sense of community. That right there is a little bit deeper than just coming to this asshole, getting a bunch of shitty emotes and shit, and having him shout you out for a fucking 50-bit cheer. It's a bit more extensive than that. But you don't see that. Like I said, we're just looking at everything at ground level. Or surface level, if you will.
Until I get paid by Twitch. But you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. And that frustrates me. That frustrates me that we had great streams today and I failed. I feel like I failed as a content creator. You know, it is what it is. I don't know what I could have done better. I thought that countdown was good. Did you guys think the countdown was good?
Now, here's another problem. Now, and to be practical, anybody and everybody who does content thinks it's good. But see, Phil has always gone into this mindset that his content was better than everybody else, right? He's always thought that way. You go back and listen to the old stuff, he says it. He always thinks that what he does is better, and then he gives you a variety of reasons that don't mean shit about shit on why it's better. But then there's no payoff, right? And that's what we're bitching and complaining about right here. Because of what? Yet again, a weak-ass countdown that didn't mean jack shit to jack shit, right? That didn't have, I would assume, I didn't watch it, but I can only guess, that it didn't have enough behind it to make it fulfilling, right? Given that he only made $34 and so on and so forth, kind of proves all that. But it's really just the acknowledgement of my work. It's the acknowledgement of the time that I put in. And that's why the finances should back that up. But not only that, let's go into the emotional and supportive roles of it. Why aren't you out there praising me for this? Because it all goes together for him. You praise him, you praise how great of a job he did, you appreciate his hard work and so on and so forth, and then you guys throw the money at him to balance that out. Or to back that up, I should say. To reinforce it. And the money's not there. And because the money's not there, that makes me feel like a failure. Which, i.e., ladies and gentlemen, let me give you the pig translation. You guys failed me. Because you know all the time and effort that I put into this. You heard me hype up and basically give you guys the hot snorts on what I was planning on doing and how I got so backed up and that's why this didn't come out on time and so on and so forth, right? I told you guys all of this. And now that it's out and now that it's here, you guys didn't come out and support it. You guys failed me. I'm going to go ahead and publicly say I feel like I failed as a content creator, but the pig translation is you guys failed me. You guys failed me. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, these people aren't invested in the content. They're invested in him.
No? Okay, well, there you go. Someone says no. The countdown was bad. I guess that's it. I did what I could. I tried to do as best I could. And everyone's spamming emotes now. So, Big Papa Phil thought it was entertaining. That's good. Someone was sleeping the whole countdown. Stolen Shadows thought it was good. Dudetron insulted me and called me an ungrateful cuck because he subbed, even though I gave him a shout out and thanked him for the sub earlier. For some reason, he thinks I'm an ungrateful cuck, so that's nice.
Yes, and Phil is an ungrateful cuck for a couple of reasons. One, now, most of you are probably going to be like, well, why doesn't he just do an automated shout out like every fucking buddy else? There are filters, there are things that you can use. Yeah, there are always going to be people who are going to get around the filters, and you just keep knocking them down until, it is what it is. But you don't have to sit there and shout out every little fucking thing. There are things in Streamlabs, right, that will do that for you, right? Phil does it because he wants people to think, oh, I'm giving you that extra effort. Oh, you throw all this money at these other streamers or whatever, and you just get a fucking robot voice and shit, and you may get a little flash up on the screen, and that's it. They're not really engaging with you. They're just, they just say thanks and then they move on. Which, if you have like 2,000 or 3,000 people, it is what it is. At the end of the day, they still get their acknowledgement, but whatever. So Phil thinks, oh, I'm different. I'm going to go the extra step. I'm going to read out every little thing, and I have to protect myself because if one of you guys say anything and the automated thing says it, and it's racist or it's whatever, the same shit he defends, by the way, but whatever, semantics, it could end up hurting my streams, and I could get kicked off of Twitch or whatever. Even though, and most of you guys have pointed this out, that he's not probably going to get kicked off of Twitch. Like, it's going to, whatever happens to him next would have to be monumental to get him knocked off of Twitch. I mean, permanently. I'm not talking about these little 2 or 3 day, excursions that we've had over the last year or so. It would have to be big. It would have to be so big that Twitch would have to be like, you're not worth it. Bye. You know what I'm saying? They would have to pull a machinima on his ass. They'd have to pull a Blip TV on his ass. They'd have to pull a curse on his ass to really it would have to be that good of a reason to get him kicked off. And I don't have that reason. I have a couple of ideas, but I won't share that. That's not needed. In any case, yet again, he feels like he's going the extra step, and he's different, right? So that's what separates him from the pack. No, it makes you fucking lazy. It derails your streams, which is the same thing he accuses other people for, and it makes the YouTube videos shit. As if the YouTube videos aren't shit enough as it is, it makes them shittier. Yet again, you're only hurting your own content. And I think in some ways he does that too, as a spite to restreamers and to This Is How You Don't Play content creators as well. But semantics on that. That's just a thought. But yet again, he did it to himself. Just like this whole bullshit with the chargebacks and everything, and he has to go ahead and put you guys through these FBI screening processes to fucking get your money. No one needs to go through those hoops, and you're seeing less and less people doing it. That's kind of the reason, as one of the contributing factors to why we're only at $34. It's just not worth it, and that just puts more and more pressure on the whales. And I think, as part of his pignosis, he wants that. He wants there to be more pressure on the whales to try to get him through. We saw some of that during the Vest Street, and you saw how that all fell apart between Swaggins and Only Iced Coffee. But at the end of the day, he did it to himself. The content is trash because you let it become, well, it was always trash, but it's utter garbage because you allowed it to become utter garbage. You took all these steps and safeguards to protect your own fragile ego. That's it. It's not even really about protecting the fucking platform on Twitch, because he's really not going to go nowhere unless it's big. Jesus Christ, this is the same idiot who sat there and fucking stabbed Brightside Viking in the back, thinking that if he didn't get rid of Brightside Viking that he would lose his Twitch. Even after Kiwi Farms gave him the ultimatum that, hey, denounce him. If not, then everybody on the King of Hate forums is going to catch it. And a few of them did. And that still wasn't enough. It was only when he thought it was going to be a jeopardy to Twitch, and sadly, because I feel like he really, if you really look at the Brightside Viking thing, he really fucked him over. Brightside Viking was either in between jobs or he was starting a new job or whatever, so he wasn't able to contribute as much around the same time. So one could say that Brightside was trying to take out some of his frustration on Kiwi Farms, depending on how you want to look at the situation. And Phil was looking at it as, at least the way I've always said it, is that you're not producing the money, you know what I'm saying, that I'm expecting, right? You're sitting there bringing all this fucking heat on me and shit, and that's not worthwhile, or that's not doing nothing for me. And, I mean, supposedly Phil told him not to go over there anyway to start shit, even though that's probably a lie in itself, or at least to some degree, and Phil needed to cover his ass. And that's why Brightside Viking got fucking dropped out that bitch. That's why he got the Blood Eagle treatment, and that was that. I think there were other reasons to get rid of Brightside Viking outside of the fact that he was starting shit over there with Kiwi Farms and all that shit that was going on Phil's personal forums. I think there was more to it than that. And I think it was just a good enough excuse. But that's just my opinion, of course.
That definitely makes me feel better, by the way. You really cheered me up. Thanks. All right. At least the majority of people who were in the chat seem to be saying they liked it. I'm glad you did. All right. I'm going to upload this. I'm going to do right now. I'm going to upload everything to DSP Gaming as usual. And tomorrow, I'll be back. Like I said, Call of Duty on the main stream, and we'll do some Assassin's Creed on the late stream. Okay, guys? Hopefully things will turn around and pick up with support. You know? Everything else seems good. You guys were engaged today. You seem to like the streams. I was having fun with the game. So hopefully things will pick up. Because that's the best I can do. That's the you know what I mean? Like, all I can do is put out an entertaining stream and hope for the best, because that's how crowdfunding works. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate everything today. I do. And I hope you have a good evening. And I'll see you all in the AM for Call of Duty Rage. 3+ hours of Call of Duty Rage coming tomorrow. I'm really curious to see how overpowered this knife is, because I just used it for like 1 or 2 matches. I was getting crazy amounts of kills. I was like, why is the knife so fucking good in this stupid game? So I'm curious to see how this goes tomorrow. Okay? All right, everyone. Good evening. And see you all in the AM. Shall I? All right, guys. Thanks. See you in the morning. Peace out.
Okay. Anyway, that's my hot take on his failure as a content creator. To be honest, it's really just a lot of self-pity and loathing because he only got $34. But then again, that's nothing particularly new, because if you remember, before the vest streak ever existed, that for a few days out of the week, that was a normal night. People forget that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That was a normal night. If you go back and watch, maybe outside of the Street Fighter streams and was it Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4? It might have been Black Ops 4. Yeah, it was more like it was Black Ops 4 now I think about it. You go back and watch the restreamers and watch those, outside of all of the Rage and Salt, I mean, any other night, it wouldn't have been too much of a surprise to go on a Phil stream and see $20. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be completely out of the fucking norm to go to one of his early streams, right? And see him at maybe $45, maybe $50. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be out of the norm. It was like that for a very long time. Now, don't get me wrong. Occasionally, he would have the stream goal hit, which used to be $100. He did bump it up to $200, I think, for a while. I can't remember exactly how that went. I think that was mixed results. But when it was at $100 for the stream goal, sometimes he hit it. You know, sometimes. It started to become few and far between as time goes on. But that's what begging does. You start to, when you put the mental stress on a person, and maybe even the financial stress too, but let's start with the mental though. When you put the mental stress on a person, that every time they come to your stream or to your content, that they have to give you money to keep the content going, that wears on people after a while, right? And so by instead of having them invested in the content and having them invested in him first, that would give them, well, not give them, let's reword that. That would give more justification to want to help him, right? He's not just some streamer that you occasionally watch and you enjoy what he does. No, this is Phil. This is Phil. That's why every time he says someone reaches out to him, he never says, oh, DSP, never says Darksydephil. That's only the haters, trolls, detractors, and critics who do that. When his fans, right? He doesn't call them the audience. When his fans are engaging with him behind the scenes, by the way, it's always Phil, right? It's more personable that way. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're connecting with him. You feel like you know him, despite the fact that he said on many occasions over the years that we're not friends. I don't really give a fuck about you guys outside of the content I put out. I'm not your friend. I'm not here for a shoulder for you guys to cry on or any of that unless I have something to bitch and complain about, and then you guys can kind of pitter-pat that in between, right? Outside of that situation in 2017 with War Dog Leader, of course. But outside of that, you know, there is no emotional connection between us. You know what I'm saying? Even though he needs people to be emotionally invested in him so they can cough that money up. On consignment at times. Now let me give you guys an example of that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and big up to Anley. Thank you very much for that. Like I said, the link to that will be down in the description. Okay, so let's go ahead and move that off the board. And here we go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to finish all this off and to give you guys the main event, I want to take you guys back to 2009. Darksydephil. Let's see here. 30K subs and Modern Warfare 2 update. This was published on November 8th of 2009. The link will be down in the description. I want you guys to listen to the first part. Of course, I'm going to bring it back because why not? Because I like my rewind feature. But I want you guys to listen to how the support was given up, by the way, back then. This is early on. This isn't the earliest point where something has been said, but you could easily take from what he's saying and know, not guess, not speculate, know that money was given to him as early as he started. Remember, he didn't lose his job until 2010. This is 2009. Let's get it.
Hey everyone, it's DSP here, and I've got a couple important channel updates today. I'm going to be moving pretty fast because this is take two. I had actually recorded one right before this and ended up being 15 minutes long. I don't want to upload multiple parts for this video, but it is pretty important that you tune in, so please stay with me. First of all, thank you everyone. I've reached 30,000 subscribers. That was my goal for the end of the year, and I jumped ahead and just hit it already, which is awesome because the 3 biggest games of the year haven't even come out yet. So thank you very much for...
Let me jump in early. So the 3 biggest games aren't even out yet, which only reaffirms the games being the crutch. That the games were the real draw, right? And then, at least early on, and then you guys hopefully staying and being invested in him, right? So that was kind of the situation early on with this childlike fan base that he had. Also, I want you guys to take note of all this. Remember, this is 2009. This is 2009. He has a job, right? He's working at the helicopter company. Thanks to Daddy Brunel's good graces and shit. And the YouTube money, as it pertains to gaming YouTube money, isn't there yet. That's why you don't see all the bullshit. You don't see the gaming calendar that'd be directly behind him. You don't see the DSP fucking clock yet from I'm sorry, I just talked about that. Cafe Press. You're not seeing that huge Doom canvas art that he has right here on this this one supporting the splitter between his kitchen and his front door. You don't see anything on the fucking bar yet. The money hasn't trickled in from the gaming shit yet. You know what I'm saying? The money ain't there yet. Even though he's making money off his vlogging channel. But, you know, whatever. We're not making no money off the gaming yet. We're building up the gaming profile, right? Our portfolio. look at all the games I've played, look at my back catalog. We're building all of that up, but he can't actually monetize gaming stuff yet. So yet again, this whole thing about, oh, I did this for 3 years and I did it as a hobby, I never got paid for it, as plenty of detractors have said before me and as plenty more will say after me, you couldn't. You weren't allowed to monetize gaming content. That's the reason why when he ended up going to Blip, that's why he ended up going to Blip after he got fired from when he got fired from the helicopter company. He ended up going on and telling people, hey, support me on my vlogging channel, because he actually was getting money off his vlogging channel. Make sure you're engaging with the ads or interacting with the ads or whatever, or participating. Got himself fucked off of that, from that for Google AdSense, and then ran the Blip, because Blip would let him monetize his gaming content. Except there were some criterias that he had to follow. And he was skirting along with that nonsense. And then Dead Space 2 happened. And then they were like, oh, well, we were going to talk to you and we were going to tell you about how maybe you could grow your content and so on and so forth. But you went ahead and fucked around and did this bullshit. But then again, we also had some concerns anyway, and this is what it was. And if you guys have seen that video, you know what I'm talking about. And then I can just hammer it in on how much of a fuck up this idiot is. He also was in talks with Blistered Thumbs, that guy with the glasses, to get something going on with that. Now, was that going to be him trying to go over there and build friendships and do all that bullshit? No. He said, and I quote, I was going to go over there, participate with Blistered Thumbs. They were going to promote my content, and I was going to do stuff with them to build his profile, to broaden his internet reach, if you will. So he was using them as they were going to use him. It's a business. It is what it is. But he was going to go and work under them. And eventually Phil would have probably gotten kicked out of that situation anyway. Certainly before they ended up getting into some major shit. And that is some of the extra stuff that those guys do with a lot of those collabs and everything. He more than likely wasn't going to do all of that anyway. He might do some of it if he can do it remotely. But he wasn't going to, drive off to whatever state them guys were in and do all that bullshit. He wasn't going to do that. So there you go. But it would have probably have been interesting to see a crossover review with like Spoonie and Darksydephil. That might have been an interesting look. Oh well. Off to the piggy ether with it.
Everyone who subscribed, thank you for everyone who's watched. Some people don't subscribe. They literally told me, we love your videos, but we don't subscribe because you have so many videos, we don't want to clog up our inbox. That's perfectly fine. What are you going to do? I get the feeling I'd have a lot more subscribers if YouTube could change that functionality, but as everyone knows, YouTube blows. But anyway, thank you so much.
That's my next point. So the situation where early on, hey, I'd love to subscribe to your channel, Phil. You put out too much content. Oh, yeah, I understand it. It's no problem. It's cool, whatever. It's YouTube's fault. YouTube blows. YouTube fucked up. It's their fault. Oh, well. What sense does that make? YouTube doesn't tell you how many videos to put up. You're the one who dictates that. You're the one who sits there and has these long gaming sessions. Nothing wrong with that. You're the one who chops them up into 10, 12-minute segments, whatever. And then you're the one who floods your channel with it over and over and over again. YouTube's job, not even job, I mean, the platform itself existed so you could put yourself out there, right? And they were giving they were giving the people who were subscribed to you notifications that, hey, Darksydephil posted. Check it out. Something that people now can't really get, interestingly enough. That's hilarious, actually, if you think about it, because he's bitching about YouTube fucking around and sending out too many notifications for his content, right? And causing bottlenecks in other people's sub boxes and sub feeds, right? When now even some of the biggest content creators complain that that their videos aren't hitting their audience the way it should because notifications more often than not isn't being sent out. That's amazing. That's absolutely hilarious when you actually sit there and think about that. Oh, how times have changed. Even though we have the, someone found that exploit or whatever with the whole, if you put up community posts, that can draw more attention to you and whatnot, which, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's really, this is just me talking here, right? Because that's really all I do, right? I don't know if I could really say that's an exploit, more to the fact that that's what YouTube wants. YouTube wants you to come to their platform and be on YouTube longer. And it wants, in a lot of ways, YouTube wants to be your one-stop shop. You can go, you know what I'm saying, you can bounce from Twitter or whatever most of your social media sites from there if you have it linked on your front page, all of these things, right? But they want YouTube to be your central entertainment hub. Well, first thing is it was a discussion tab, right? And that discussion became a community tab. So you can have more interaction with the people who are watching your videos and who absorb your content, so on and so forth. One day, and then obviously the streaming and all that, eventually it's going to probably end up going back to that shit that Phil keeps complaining about how you can go back and customize your channels any way you want and have the background layouts and all that. That might eventually come back. Now, I also think about it, a live feed, not when you're premiering a video or when you're streaming. I mean, like an actual live feed where people can go and actually comment on your channel and talk to other people who are also on there. That might come back too, to be honest. It would make sense for them to do that. You know what I'm saying? And then if they can somehow integrate Twitter into it, they probably will. So then you don't actually have to go to Twitter. You can actually just do it from like an extension that's on YouTube. This is me kind of thinking long term, but that could be something that they end up doing. But what I'm trying to say is some of the old features that Phil boasted about that was so good back in the day, and when it went away, it fucked him over because he didn't have any originality anymore and whatnot. That stuff could come back. It'll just come up in a different way to revamp. Because yet again, since it's all about ad revenue over here for the most part, it would only make sense to keep you here watching longer and give you the resources, let's reword that, give you the amenities to keep you over here and keep you watching longer, if that makes sense. But that's just something to think about in the long term. But it's funny, but the fact that Phil back then was bitching and complaining that, oh, it's YouTube's fault that your inbox gets flooded and not you as the uploader is yet again in an amazing fucking contradiction of and a lack of responsibility for one's own actions. The reason why that is, oh, I just hit 30,000 subs and I did it by spamming you guys. Hey, I got 30,000 out the deal, right? Or as a popular DSP meme, I got the chair, right? I got the chair, and I didn't have to advertise them or nothing. Same concept. You have people telling you, hey, we love the fact that you're playing all these games or whatever. Just ease up. Just ease up on how much you're uploading it, dude. Just spread that shit out a little more. We don't need 30 to 50 fucking videos a day. But Phil's looking at it as, hey, I got 30,000 people who love me because they subbed to me. So if 100 or 200 of you guys are bitching and complaining and being nagging Nancy's or whatever, or being some bitchy ass little ninnies or whatever the case may be, that's not my fault. But I'm not going to come out and necessarily say that. So I'll just blame it on YouTube. Oh, it's YouTube's fault, bro. Well, Phil has this problem now. Why are the playlists always fucked up? Why is it 1, 2, 3, 9, 8, 7, 6? Why is it always like that, Phil? He does that now. Not all the time, but sometimes. You go back on the main channel, DSP Gaming, and look at how his playthroughs are structured and shit. And sometimes, more often than not, but sometimes you'll see shit's all out of order. It's posted out of order. It's really, really strange. But you know, that is what that is. That's not YouTube's fault either. That's how you've uploaded it, and you just didn't want to correct it. And then there is a feature. It's a drag and drop basically. That if you go to your playlist, right, you can edit your playlist, and you can actually move videos around, right, to put them back in order if you want to. He could do that, and he won't. So whatever happens on his main page, that's stuck that way. But at least in the playlist, he can shift all of that around so it plays in order. I don't even know if he does that. But you're seeing the pattern of blaming someone else. Someone else needs to be blamed for these issues. Not that I'm just uploading too much. It's YouTube's fault that your shit's getting flooded. It's this entity's fault that's the situation. Despite the fact that this is where all his popularity is being driven from. This is where he eventually wants to make his money from. This is where, in truth, you're going to hear it in just a second, this is where he is making his money from. But the platform blows, though. It's the platform's fault. You know what I'm saying? But I still got my 30,000 subscribers, though. So we're still good on that.
I also want to say thank you very much to anyone who's ever donated. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go to paypal.com and send a payment to darksydephil@hotmail.com. I accept any amount, whatever you can, you feel like you want to give me. It is a donation. It's not a direct payment or anything like that. So please understand, don't ask me for something specifically because you're going to pay me. That's not how it works. It has to be, your willingness to just give me something to help me out. By the way, it has helped me out a lot. As you see, in the past year, not only have I moved, but I've gotten better equipment. I've gotten games that I hadn't planned on getting. I ended up getting because I had some donations that helped me out. And I plan to only get bigger and better as we move on. Hopefully I'll get better equipment in the future. I'm actually planning eventually to go to some gaming conventions and things like that next year. And I'm going to hope to...
Alright, so let me bring this back. I'm not sure how far back I need to bring it. Let me see what this is real fast.
Move, but I've gotten better equipment. I've gotten games that I hadn't played.
Oh, this is fun.
Willingness to just give me something to help me out. By the way,
far enough yet. One day I'll get better at this. No, I won't. No, I won't.
Anything like that. So please understand. Don't ask me for something.
Still not there yet, but we'll start there. That's close enough. All right. So donations. Donations. From the jump, from Jump Street, from Main Street. Like I said, this is from November of 2009. The implications, the way he's saying, especially since, especially how the last year has gone, right, in his timeline, he's been getting donations all year. Goes back to the stipulations where it's more than likely he was collecting donations as early as 2008 when he started. But certainly 2009 had been a good year. Now, he tries to kind of finagle it in such a way that, hey, you guys have been giving me donations. You guys have been really helping me out. I was able to play games that I wasn't expecting to play. I can believe that. Look at this. I got this new condo now. He's not, I don't think he's trying, I think he's trying to finagle it and say, hey, that extra money you gave me allowed me to get my own place, allowed my own studio now. I can do what I want. I can play as long as I want, so on and so forth. You could say that. You couldn't. It depends on how you want to interpret it. The point being is that there was always a financial payoff. And as time went on, that financial payoff got bigger and bigger. And it was more, and it also became rather consistent. Crowdfunding, ladies and gentlemen, has always been the crutch of Darksydephil. And it never stopped. It never stopped. Trust me. If you're getting, let's go ahead and play Hypothetical Pignosis, our favorite game. Let's say that Phil was getting, I'm going to throw a number out there. Let's say he was getting, let's say he was getting $5,000 a year in just donations, behind the scenes stuff, right? When the YouTube money, when the machinima money came into play, all right? Because remember, there's some different situations with this. In the beginning, it was making money off the vlogs, and then obviously donations for the gaming stuff. Then he ended up getting fired from his job. Then he ended up basically demanding for people to come and engage with the ads, and so on and so forth. Gets kicked out of Google AdSense, runs the blip, gets fucked over on blip, runs the hutch and whatnot in machinima to get a job, and then eventually he gets into the partner program and so on and so forth. That's essentially the timeline, just very condensed. With that being said, he was profiting pretty much that entire time, right? So if he was getting, let's say, $5,000 a year in extra money, and let's say he was still being given that money even while he was on machinima, right? Do you think he would tell people to stop? You think he really, email these people behind the scenes and say, hey guys, you don't have to send me any more money. I'm good. You don't have to do that. I'm fine. I'm making so much money now that I'm good. Despite the fact that when you go back and look at all the old stuff, he talks about, hey, I'm having all these back problems. I might have to get back surgery. Don't know how much that's going to cost. hey guys, views are down on this playthrough. I don't understand why, you guys really aren't engaging with it or watching it. The first couple parts, you guys loved it. I had 30, 40, 50,000 views on the first couple parts of these playthroughs. But now it's starting to slow up and I don't understand what's going on. I'm uploading consistently enough. I'm even uploading other gameplays mix and match so you don't just feel like you're being dragged down with the same playthrough over and over again. Why aren't you guys engaging with it? Any of you guys who have been around for a long time, you've heard him, I should say all of that. So then the begging for views came about. Hey man, I'm doing this. This isn't just a hobby anymore, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, oink, oink. This is my job now. This is how I pay my bills, and I need you guys to support the playthroughs. You're telling me that while he's sitting there begging for views, he wouldn't still be collecting money behind the scenes? Especially from people who have already been committed to giving him money over a long period of time? Or they would be giving him money as an incentive to, hey, maybe Phil, you're not playing this game yet, but this game's going to come out and it's not on your gaming calendar yet. Would you consider playing it? And now I know that right there is a sharp contradiction to what he just said about, you guys give me a donation, you're giving me a donation, don't expect me to do shit, don't ask me to do nothing, because I'm not going to, which is ironic because that's the same mindset that you guys get now on his streams. You hear how resentful he is when it comes to certain situations where people give him money and say, hey, would you play something? Or would you consider playing this or whatever. And if you guys remember back to, what was it? It was either Star Trek or Star Wars for the oh my god, it was for the PlayStation VR. I can't remember. It was some type of Star Trek or Star Wars game that someone wanted him to play and review, and the guy donated like $50 to him. And Phil was like, "Oh, I appreciate the donation." And well, let me start the story off right. I'll try to be brief. I'm not going to be brief, but I'll try to be brief. Basically, Phil said, hey, there's this game coming out for the VR. I think I want to play it, but I don't have the funds right now. But I'm interested in playing it. Someone comes through and says, hey, that would be a great game for you to review, and I'd love to see you play it as well. Here's $50 or $60 or whatever to get the game. Phil goes ahead, takes the donation, says, oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate it, whatever. I don't appreciate the fact that you gave me money and you're kind of forcing me to play the game now. Yeah, I said I was interested, but I didn't really know. And when you tip me, I have the right to do what I want with that money. So I don't really. You're kind of pressuring me into doing this now, and I don't feel that's fair. You know what I'm saying? Despite the fact that he was already bitching and complaining that he didn't have the money to play this game at that time, he wanted to go ahead and throw some more piggy tears out over the shit. So the guy sends him another $50 and says he apologizes and so on and so forth. Now, before the second $50 came into play, the chat was getting on his ass. Like, the chat was getting on his fucking ass, being like, how are you going to be an asshole about this? You're already bitching and complaining about how you wanted to play the game. Now someone donated the money to you so you could do it, and now you want to make complaints and say that you want to spend the money any way you want. So this goes on for a little bit, all within the same stream. The guy sends him another $50 and he says, sorry, Phil, I didn't mean to pressure you or anything. I just thought, since you were already talking about it, I thought this would help you out. Don't worry about it. Forgive it. The chat gets on Phil. Phil's like, hey, man. Phil breaks down because Phil's a bitch, right? He breaks down because the audience is completely and totally against him. He's like, hey, man, I'll refund you your money, so on and so forth. You were just trying to be helpful. He completely backtracks on everything. He literally stepped back into his own hoof prints and walked backwards because that's what he is. And the guy comes around for a third time with an additional $50 and says, nah, man, don't worry about it. Just here. So Phil ended up getting $150 for basically finessing this dude he gets $150 finessing this guy for a game that Phil said he wanted to play and didn't play. I don't even know if he ended up playing that game. It doesn't even matter. Because if he did, he ended up getting 3 times the amount of money to get it anyway. And that was like in 2017. So if Phil would go to the extremes to do that in 2017, you're telling me back in 2009, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't think in late 2010 is when he started doing this shit for profit? So you're telling me basically from 2011 onwards, he wasn't he wasn't getting some type of financial support from fans, loyal fans behind the scenes, despite the fact that he was getting upwards of $250,000 a year doing the machinima shit? You really want to go that route? And then let's go ahead and further this, and then we'll get back into the replay here. They tell him, hey, I would sub to you, right? But I can't because you put out way too much content, so on and so forth. Phil's like, oh, it's no problem, big deal, whatever, as long as you're watching, who cares? He says that he also said, I feel like I would have a much larger sub count, but it's YouTube's fault, they blow, so on and so forth. So there's some type of self-realization that, you know what? If I laid the fuck off of this shit, right? If I laid the fuck up off of this, I could build my subscriber base up, right? And so once you can finally start doing gaming content for profit on YouTube, then the big money comes into play. Or I could make myself more appetizing for some of the MCNs that started to emerge around this time and later on down the line. And it only makes me more profitable because look at my views, look at my subs, you know what I'm saying? It makes me more enticing. You know what I'm saying? It makes me look, it adds to my value. Phil didn't see it that way. As long as Phil was getting the views and people were kissing his ass, he didn't give a shit. It was whatever. And then he could just blame YouTube and keep it at that. Despite the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that he's basically stifling himself. He's basically making himself go stale. You know what I'm saying? He's hurting his own brand, if you will, by doing things the way he's doing it. And he could stop, but he won't because he's already being rewarded in some way. It's not as big of a reward as it could be, but he's content with what he has right now. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is no different than what you see on streamers at the very moment. It doesn't have to be that way. He could be more profitable. He could have a larger viewer base. There could be more respectability given to him on Twitter or wherever the fuck else he's looking for some type of emotional support if that's what he wanted. But he had fucked himself from the beginning, and he kept going with it. In doing so, it leads to where he's at right now. It leads to where he's going to go in the future. A dwindling fan base, less and less respectability from even his own peers, and even the ones who would want to respect him won't, unless he's out there ripping on someone that everybody else is ripping on, and even then that's not working out. He hasn't gotten that type of acknowledgement since Pro Jared, and that Pro Jared thing may be like a once in a million type thing, because look at the fucking PogChamp thing. You would think he would have at least matched what the Pro Jared situation was, and he didn't. And he tried. Trust me, Phil is in the mindset that shit on everybody that everybody else is shitting on. And he's always been that way, to be honest. But now he's really willing to put himself out there because he feels like he has nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? Especially since he's already tainted his image with the gaming community by calling all of them shills. From the people who get early copies to the people who review copies, all of that. He's tainted himself with all those people.
You can go to paypal.com and send a payment to darksydephil@hotmail.com. I accept any amount, whatever you can, you feel like you want to give me. It is a donation. It's not a direct payment or anything like that. So please understand, don't ask me for something specifically because you're going to pay me. That's not how it works. It has to be, your willingness to just give me something to help me out. By the way, it has helped me out a lot. As you see, in the past year, not only have I moved, but I've gotten better equipment. I've gotten games that I hadn't planned on getting. I ended up getting because I had some donations that helped me out. And I plan to only get bigger and better as we move on. Hopefully I'll get better equipment in the future. I'm actually planning eventually to go to some gaming conventions and things like that next year. And I'm going to hope to, take some footage there and share that with everyone. I want to say specifically to a couple people who have donated big time. And I mean, there are a handful of people, you know who you are if you're watching this, that have really given me some significant donations, and I want to say thank you very much. These people have actually specifically asked me not to be mentioned, by name or anything like that in a video, so I won't. I'm going to respect that request, but thank you so much. Your donations have definitely helped me out. It's kind of funny, one thing I want to say real quick, this is my hobby, you know, this isn't a job, this isn't something that I'm doing full time for money, and even though, hey, that would be awesome if I could do that in the future, if someone wanted to hire me to do it, but I don't foresee that happening. And to go from basically nothing, just a little side project where I thought, hey, let me just view a couple clips of a couple games, things that I don't like about the game or things that I think are cool, like my Dead Space Chapter 2 Scary as Hell, which is still one of my highest viewed vids and one of my earliest vids. And it's turned into something so much more. Now I'm able to play most of the games that come out, the major releases. Everyone kind of follows along with me. I have other series now. I have my alternate channel.
So let me cut it. So going back to, because he said, you know, he didn't set out to do this for profit, despite the fact that he probably benefited financially, at least in some way, from its onset, and you've seen how that's grown. Even now, where he said, hey, there's been people who have given me some substantial donations, and they don't want to be named, and don't get me wrong, there was no hate train against him yet. So there's no reason for these people to hide. I think it's just, you always have people who just want to give something behind the scenes, and it is what it is. Not where there's literally a pig hunt, and there's actually whaling. There's whaling wars out there to try to find the whales on Darksydephil's streams. It's not like it is today. Back in 2009 was probably a simpler time. You're seeing a lot of things. You're seeing his dependency on games, right? You're seeing that I'm doing what I'm doing, and look at where it's gotten me. So don't ask me for anything. Don't demand nothing from me. If you decide to donate, you're just going to keep getting what you're getting. I don't know if you would say it's humble bragging, but him trying to bring himself down and say, hey, I started off as a normal person and whatnot, and you guys gave me popularity. You guys made me what I am, and I wanted to continue to move forward. You're also hearing him say, well, you guys are basically crowdfunding me through all these donations, so I'm going to start going to these gaming conventions and I'll record it, and so you guys get to share the experiences with me. Remember that part with the sharing experiences thing, right? Because that's what his whole YouTube channel was. You coming over there, watching the gameplay, experiencing the whole situation as if you were sitting on the couch with him, right? It was supposedly that in tuned, right? That it made you feel like you were actually part of the action. You're not watching someone just doing a video and putting it up online. You're right there with me as, you know, as he's doing it. At least that's how he tried to sell it, to be honest. That's how he tried to sell it. But when you look at it, when you really sit there and you look at it for what it was, you know, low effort and maximum profit, whether emotionally or financially. And it paid off. Now, he doesn't, when it comes down to the whole new releases and everything, yet again, that's just the snare. That's just what to bring you guys in. That's what brings the people in. But at the end of the day, I need you guys to care about me and support me. Now, let me jump back real quick to the whole 30,000 sub situation and how I would probably have a much larger reach, but I don't because of YouTube. In truth, he didn't care. He really didn't. Because even though he only had 30,000 subs, or he just hit 30,000 subs, I should say, which isn't really anything to sneeze at, even now. He's in prime. He has prime real estate in the search engine, on YouTube, and mainly in the fledgling gaming community that's being formed. You know what I'm saying? He has the largest plot, or he has one of the largest plots out there, and he's kind of already a name, or he's slowly but surely building himself up as a name. And as long as he keeps pumping videos out, it doesn't matter if you're sub to him or you're not sub to him, as long as you're watching and as long as his reach is continuing to expand. He was willing to take the hit on subs as long as the views are there. Because at the end of the day, and this was always my theory, and it still will be my theory, the plan was to profit off of the gaming stuff. It wasn't going to be doing 9 to 5 shit anymore. I think he wanted to drop that early on. I think even before he was put into that position, the A certification, and you know he took on this other position, and so on and so forth as a lead. I think even before that he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this forever. I'll do it for a couple more years, and we'll see where this YouTube thing comes from. And even if he couldn't make money off YouTube directly, so to speak, he would probably do it indirectly by crowdfunding. Crowdfunding was going to always be the lick. That's my personal opinion, but it was always going to be the lick. If he could give if enough people could give him enough money to where he didn't need the work, even without ad revenue or whatever, he would have taken it. He would have taken it. And I think the pig gnosis, you're seeing it early on. Yet again, you're coming for the video games, right? But you're invested in me. And so when he looks at people like Ninja, when he looks at people like PewDiePie, when he looks at people like Markiplier, when he looks at most of those successful streamers and successful YouTubers, same shit. They have their kiddie audiences who love them so much and whatever, and that their parents look at them as, oh, they're not that threatening or whatever, or they're certainly not too much of a problem, and it keeps them occupied for a little while. So, you know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, watch all their videos. Oh, you want to donate? I don't know how I feel about that, but what's $5 here or there, or whatever the case may be, and that all accumulates over time. And I think Phil looks at it as, that should be me, because that was my plan from the beginning, from the onset. And it just didn't work out because he got in his own way.
The King of Hate HD, where you can see other things that I do outside of just playing video games, or you can see some of my personal stuff, my gaming collections and things like that. I've got now a review series called The Hateful Truth, where I'm reviewing some of the games that probably not necessarily the biggest games. Like, I might not do a huge game, but I might do a game that people have been asking about, like Wet or Halo 3 ODST or games like that, where people are kind of on the fence and they can't really decide if it's a good game or not. Those are the kind of games I'm going to be doing. But yeah, it's great, and unlike a lot of the other bigger channels on YouTube, I mean, I'm sorry, everyone knows who they are, I'm not going to mention their names, but they're in your face 24/7. They're not only on YouTube, but they're on other sites. There are social networking sites. They have people spamming shit all over the place. I don't do that. I have a life outside of this hobby, and that's what I'm focusing on. This is kind of a side thing for when I'm done with work and life and friends and other things that are going on. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has shared the word about me, told your friends, told your fellow players, told your family, because that's funny. I know a couple people that actually told family members, and they liked it too. Thank you so much for spreading the word.
You just said there. You guys know about these big YouTubers. You guys know who they are, and they not just do YouTube, but they're all over social media, and they got stuff over here, there, whatever. And I don't need to do that. That's not me. I got a life. I got shit to do, and whatever. This is just my hobby. It is what it is. Then we go around and say, thank you guys for spreading the word, for sharing my content, for doing this, that, and the third. Him almost saying, yeah, I don't put myself out there like that, but you guys put me out there like that. You know what I'm saying? I have a life. I have shit that I need to do. I've got real concerns and stuff. So I don't have to be like these other guys who are already insanely popular and so on and so forth. I don't need to do any of that. So you guys do it. So thank you guys for keeping me relevant, for putting my name out there and so on and so forth. Now, when you think about the timeline, he's going to be fired within a year. From a year of this video of him doing this video, he's going to be fired within a year. So with that being said, maybe, just maybe, you putting an effort into expanding your reach, building connections, and doing some of those things wouldn't have been a bad thing. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this can still be your hobby, as most YouTubers have started off as their hobby. That doesn't mean you can't network a little bit. That means you can't talk to people. It doesn't mean that you can't interact with people and, try to build something for yourself. He didn't see a need to do that. Instead, it was easier to make everybody else do it. Go ahead and get the kids to spread his content amongst other kids and let them do all the footwork for him. Just something to think about.
The way I see it is we can only go up from here, and things are going to get better in 2010, especially with some of the games that are being announced and finally getting release dates. One thing I want to say really quick, it's kind of funny because there are some other channels. It's also kind of funny too. You haven't
heard of Snort yet. What if you were watching the screen? If you're not, no big deal. You kind of saw what looked like the pretense of a snort, but no sound came out. So keep that in mind too.
And finally getting release dates. One thing I want to say really quick, it's kind of funny because there are some other channels that I've been following on YouTube. As you know, if you look at my subscribers, I mean my subscriptions, you'll see, you know, there's channels like the Angry Video Game Nerd and his alternate channel Cinemassacre, and those things are so ridiculous because he has the opportunity to be on a website like GameTrailers.com, and he is also part of Screw Attack, who also has a really big website, and you know, they get that kind of promotion. I don't have that. So anything, you know, that you say about me is appreciated. If you can spread the word.
You don't have those type of things because you didn't put yourself in position to have those type of things. He could reach out to Screw Attack. He could reach out to some of those medians and get something worked out. You know what I'm saying? He could certainly have done that, but he didn't. He didn't feel like he needed to do so, which only reinforces my theory that let the kids go ahead and spread him out, and let the kids go ahead and make recommendations to those different medias. Hey, why don't you guys talk to Darksydephil? Hey, why aren't you guys featuring Darksydephil? You don't know how he plays all the good games. He does reviews and whatnot. He has, you know, a growing fan base. Maybe you guys should consider him. And I think, yet again, depending on other people to do the footwork. It doesn't make it a one-man band, right? This isn't a one-man operation if you are dependent on other people to do other things for you as well, right? It's not just one man against the world at that point, right? It's not your average Joe, right? When you have other people willing and able to go out their way to help you out. Take time out of their lives to do so. This is supposed to be just entertainment. You don't have to contribute any more to that if you don't want to. But he's certainly taking advantage of people. He was doing it back then. Why would anybody be surprised he was doing it now? Or vice versa.
But it's funny because I remember a year ago, Screw Attack, and if you don't know what Screw Attack is, go check out their channel right now. They do Hard News, which is a daily news show that they do. It's really quick, but it's really informative regarding the new game news of the day. And they do it Monday through Friday like clockwork, and it's the only game show that I watch, to be honest. It's the only news show, let me rephrase that I watch. So I get all my gaming news from there. Go check it out. I'm pretty cool with those guys. And also do check out James Rolfe's alternate channel, the Cinemassacre channel, which is also on YouTube, where he puts up a lot of alternate footage, not the Angry Video Game Nerd stuff, but he does actually put up a lot of other stuff. For example, some of his Monster Madness series from October, where he reviewed all these classic monster movies that I really didn't know about. I thought it was pretty cool. So go check that out.
You're also
one
seeing,
other website that
outside of scratching his ass, you're also seeing and hearing a lot of the different venues or medians he started to grab from, that he started to take ideas from, just like Howard Stern. You're starting to see more and more of that, and how he was gripping from people. There was nothing ever original about Darksydephil. He's someone who borrows. He's borrowed from he has. If you watch some of John and Howard's old videos and stuff like that, and if you really sit there and think about their mannerisms or whatnot, Phil has borrowed a lot of that too. He borrowed some stuff from Panda. He borrowed some stuff from Cat. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what he does. He's someone who wants to fit in so badly. I could say desperately, but I'll go with badly. I don't know why I'm feeling merciful right now. But but he wants to fit in so badly that he'll take a little bit of everybody, from everybody, to make people feel comfortable, and for him to be comfortable, if you will. It's not, and actually, let me even go even further than that. To feel familiar, right? Like you're watching him, and you're like, or you're watching Angry Video Game Nerd, or you're listening to Howard Stern, or whatever the case may be, and you can hear some of the mannerisms. Some of their mannerisms you hear Phil also demonstrate or display, or whatever the case may be, and it kind of eases people into the content a little bit more doing that. And Phil's not the only person who does that. Other people do it too. I think Phil is a class act example though of it. It's a very, very interesting behavior. And I think with Phil, he's very blatant about it. So it's easier to point out, and it's easier to see it. You know what I'm saying? He's someone who's very heavily influenced by what he sees. And I think I would probably have to say he's always been that way. To be honest, that's why he doesn't hold to his points very well, because he doesn't have much of a fucking backbone. He doesn't have much of a spine, unless it relates to him, and it relates to him in a negative sort of way. Then he'll fight it tooth and nail and hoof for as long as he can. He'll eventually fail, but at least he put up the fight, right? Right? Right.
I want to talk about really quick. I know I'm kind of promoting other sites, but these are some of my favorite sites. That guy with the glasses.com, where it's Doug Walker. He has a lot of different series. His biggest one is the Nostalgia Critic, where he reviews movies that were older and he likes them, he makes fun of them, and it's hilarious. And he used to be on YouTube, and they kicked him off because it had film footage in his videos, and they bent over and took it up the ass, and they told him he had to leave. So he left. He went made his own website, and now he's making it pretty big. He's got a team of people who now work on videos for him. So good job, Doug. I really like your stuff. I hope people will go check that out now that I mentioned that.
Because you promoted Doug Walker, all of a sudden people are going to go over there. That's beautiful. Any case, yet again, Phil with that narrative on shitting on people that used to be in position, and then shitting on them and whatnot, and then trying to positively put a positive spin on it and reinforce it. You see that behavior now too. Oh yeah, he used to be something big on YouTube, and then they caught him for this, that, and the third, and he got ripped. But now he's over there, he's got his own site, and everything's going well for him, and so good for him. And now that I mentioned him here, maybe you guys will go and watch, and so maybe that'll give Doug a reason to kind of pay some attention to me, because look at what I did. Yet again, all part of the ebb and flow, just the flows of Snorts that go through daily. Like I said, a lot of the behavior that you see is not something new. It's something he's been demonstrating for a long time. It just becomes more and more pronounced as time goes on, as anything does, to be honest. But another point that I'd like to bring up is, remember when Phil was like, oh, I didn't have a team of people, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the fancy editing, I didn't have any of that, and yet I'm still here. He talks about that type of stuff as if it was a negative. He's not doing it in 2009. So when he was in position, or slowly but surely elevating himself into position, hey, I love those guys. I watch those guys. Hey, they got to do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? If that's the hustle, then that's what they got to play it as. And I'm happy for them. You go back to 2017 though, and he's very, very resentful over that type of stuff. He's very, very resentful on how those people got priorities over the average Joe who just puts out the raw gameplay content, and so on and so forth. It wasn't fair, as he said. You know what I'm saying? I'm here playing the raw games and putting out content for you every single day, and I can barely scrape up barely scrape up, I should say. Maybe not buy, but scrape up, 30,000 views or whatever, but yet these guys get hundreds of thousands or millions of views. And that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That's bullshit that YouTube promotes them like that. It's bullshit that other sites will promote them like that and give them the advantages. Why don't I have those advantages? I've been around as long as those guys are. I put out great content. I used to be one of the funniest channels on YouTube. That's back when they had those accolades and all that other bullshit. That's way out of my time. But when they had all the accolades and everything and whatnot, and people used to think that I was really funny or whatever. So why don't I get the chances that they did? Think about it.
One really quick thing that I want to tell you about Modern Warfare 2, and then we're going to cut this closed. As I said, my plan for Modern Warfare 2 is I'm going to go to the midnight release. I'm going to get the game legitimately by buying it. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to start playing the campaign and immediately start uploading footage. The reason I haven't jumped the gun is because, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of other people have gotten the game from different ways, whether they stole it, they downloaded it, they got it early legally, meaning they walked into Walmart and Walmart sold it to them, so what are you going to do? And a lot of people have made footage of it, put it up on YouTube, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's all getting taken down. A lot of people have actually gotten completely banned.
It wasn't just Walmart though. Like you could essentially go into like the mom and pop stores, if some of them still exist, if you can find one, and you can still get games early through them too. There's still like really small hole-in-the-wall video game places, right? Or even like video game rental stores that actually sell games too. And you can go in there and be like, hey, do you have such and such game? And if they do, they'll more than likely sell it to you. Even though it's not available for public consumption yet, they will sell it to you. Or at least rent it to you, for those who still rent games. You know what I'm saying? Outside of GameFly or any of that nonsense. Not nonsense, but or any of those medians, if you will. You can still do that. You know what I'm saying? It's been like that back in the day. There are plenty of big Call of Duty heads for example, who tell stories about that shit, being able to go ahead and get early copies like a week early. You know what I'm saying? And this is before Activision, because I'm still following that story, but that was before Activision actually reached out to YouTube content creators and started making deals with them. Because I don't think that happened until after 2010 or 11. Can't remember exactly when. But in the early days, though, they weren't actually doing that. So you had to have other means of being able to get your hands on stuff like that. And a lot of guys did. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys in their fan bases, I should say, would go out of their way to send them copies and get them, get it from different ways or whatever. So it is what it is. It wasn't like as nefarious as he makes it sound like. Like people were out there just robbing shit, just stealing off the rip like that. Not to say that it didn't happen, but it doesn't happen in the way that he's trying to make it sound. You know what I'm saying? And for a lot of those mom and pop shops too, just to kind of defend that a little bit, they didn't know. They had already had their copies sent to them. What do they care if they sell the game fucking a week early? They don't give a shit. They made their sale. Same thing with Walmart. To be honest with you, why would they give a fuck if it's not released for everybody yet and they sell it 3 days early? Nobody gives a shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you walked in there and the clerk was like, yeah, we have that game. Yeah, give me a second. Here you go. And whatever the price was, and then on your way.
From YouTube. So I don't know if that's just an effect of them getting the game early and basically breaking Street Date, which is illegal, or if it's just Infinity Ward and Activision saying we don't want any footage of Modern Warfare 2, we want people to just go buy the game. I don't know what it is. First of all, there's no law that says you can't put up game footage. I hate to tell you companies who are putting these false copyright claims everywhere, it doesn't exist. It's a legal gray area where people are saying, is it copyright infringing or not? No legal ruling has been made. No one's ever really taken it to court. So I love how you like to threaten websites like YouTube with legal action, even though you've never taken it to court before. I'm going to do my best to get Modern Warfare 2 up. I'm going to do the campaign first, like I said. I don't know if I'm going to run straight through the campaign and finish it, or if I'm going to jump into multiplayer, but I am going to be playing Modern Warfare 2 for a couple days straight. It'll probably be for the rest of the week, knowing how slow YouTube is to upload footage. You'll probably just see non-stop new Modern Warfare 2 videos. However, I want to let you know what my plans are if the worst happens. And the worst, what I mean is, I've already got 2 strikes against me for uploading other footage earlier in the year. As you know, the Grand Theft Auto 4 expansion, Lost in the Damned, and also there was a WWE Legends of WrestleMania game where they made false copyright claims. YouTube bent over, said, okay, whatever you say, we don't want to go to court, and basically took all my shit off of YouTube and told me if I didn't delete the files from YouTube, they would sue me. Or ban my account, which is all they would have done, ban my account. So I'm afraid that with this, if all this footage is being taken down, that maybe they're going to do the same thing to my footage, and being that I already have 2 strikes, that they might try to get rid of this channel. That's the worst case scenario. It might not be that bad. And
he was still willing to gamble it. That's the crazy part. He was willing to gamble it. And here's another thing, too, that I'm just now thinking about. So the WWE was supposedly false copyright strikes or whatever, or false copyright claims or whatever. And YouTube basically threatened you to remove the footage. Back then, I don't think they removed strikes. You know what I'm saying? I think once you had a strike, you had it. And that was that. My thing is, why didn't you send the fucking audience after WWE if it's supposedly a false strike, like they did with the Ubisoft thing? But then again, the Ubisoft thing was legit trolls. So scratch that part. But another thing, if you're going to have to delete the footage and delete all the files and everything like that, why didn't you ask YouTube to remove the strike? If you're going to comply with everything that they're demanding from you, the least you could do is inquire. Okay, I'll remove all of this. I think it's bullshit because of course that's what Phil's going to say. But I'll remove it. But remove the strike, and I'll make sure all of this hits into the piggy ether. I mean, you would think someone with a business degree would be would know a little bit about negotiations. And he probably could get that done. Because there are, yet again, Call of Duty YouTubers who got hit for silly shit. And they did the exact same thing that I said. And for most of them, it happened. It was, okay, fair enough. You go ahead and get that off our site until, the official date where it can be back on. And we'll remove the strike. Everybody gets what they want.
Nothing might happen at all because it will be legal by then to have purchased the game. So don't worry too much, but Worst case, if anything happens, go to my alternate channel, The King of Hate HD. I'll have full instructions of what I plan to do then, if that's the case. More than likely what I'll end up doing is finding another site outside of YouTube to do the Modern Warfare 2 footage, and then I might return to YouTube to do other games next week. However, if the worst happens and they delete that channel, I don't care. I'm not giving up. I'm making another channel to replace it, and we're going to start from scratch. And it sucks if that happens, but if it happens, it happens, and that's just what we'll have to do. I hope that a lot of you will follow me, and most of you will come with me to the new channel. Again, any instructions of what I'm going to do if that does happen will be up on the King of Hate HD, my alternate YouTube channel. So please check it out. So that's it. Thank you very much for everyone who's been along for the ride. Thank you for those who have donated. Please keep watching. Please keep commenting. Please keep spreading the word and subbing. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming up, especially these next couple of weeks are going to be super hectic with the 3 biggest releases of the year. I'm really excited.
The T-posing. But I also like the fact that I like the idea. It's funny to me for whatever reason. We're celebrating hitting 30,000 subs, but he's willing to gamble all of that away for Modern Warfare 2. Knowing damn well that other people are getting their footage taken down, it could get him fucked as well. But he was still willing to gamble away 30,000 subs for Modern Warfare 2. That's a philism, ladies and gentlemen. That is a philism.
30,000 subscribers is awesome. Hell, let's try to make 35,000 by the end of the year. Why not, right? So thanks a lot, and I will see you guys Tuesday morning for Modern Warfare 2.
It's lick like the walk of shame. Let me bring that back. Oh, it's like the walk of shame. Having to walk around this counter to turn the camera off. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's so hurtful. Funny though. Oh, look at it. You can hear the pity patter of his hooves having to go to turn the
Lick
camera.
my balls, you fucking Halo 3 ODST fanboys.
That doesn't matter. Okay. Oh. Oh. That's really funny. Oh. It's part of the small pleasures in life. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That's my hot take on that situation. Give me a second to square up, and we will reconvene for final thoughts. And I will let you on your way. I apologize yet again. The blame's on me for the original broadcast not going out. Hopefully this goes up at least not too far off of the normal time. If not, it'll be later on. Yet again, I apologize. Either which way, the blame's on me. Here we go. Oh, that's fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. Oh boy, I'm gonna need a Begberry latte. think we'll go for that double bacon shot, and I'll take a Jasper Turkey Bacon Club on the way out too. I'm gonna double up on the bacon today. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So there are my thoughts on that. Phil's failure as a content creator is of his own doing. That's the point that I was kind of trying to make, to be honest. And it runs deep. It runs really, really deep. And it's not just, it was more, I think. It was more than just the fact that he didn't hit his little fucking stream goal and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's possible, and this is a reach on my part, but everything's a reach on my part theoretically. But it's still something to think about. It's him really sitting there and thinking about, and really coming to the realization in a lot of ways, a bit of self-realization, if you will, on what his position is. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, like what his position is. Not just on Twitch, not just on YouTube, but, you know, because all of that basically is his life. Look at where he's at. You've been around for 12 fucking years, and that's all you have to show for it? This is it? This is it. You're sitting here crying to fucking 2 or 3, maybe let's say 400 people on a stream over some low effort content. That's what you really come down to. You had, yet again, I think it's the realization. He had all those opportunities back in the day, ladies and gentlemen. All those fucking opportunities. And he fucked it all up. Now, Phil will sit there and tell you, because he's already done it, that, oh, well, you know, I didn't know. There was no fucking manual for how to be a content creator or how to conduct yourself or any of that bullshit. Well, you're lying. How hard is it to be a decent person? You know what I'm saying? To treat people the way you'd like to be treated. It's not hard. You can't tell me that you needed an owner's manual, if you will, or an instruction manual on how to do this shit when you see what your peers are doing around you and how they getting shit done. The same people that you're pulling from anyway, right? Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're still making things happen. They're not letting little roadblocks stifle them and demanding people to come to the rescue, Captain Save-A-Ho. They're getting shit done. They're making shit happen. You pull what resources you have and you try to make the best out of a situation. Phil never did that. Phil immediately ran to crowdfunding. Phil immediately ran to John or Howard or whoever else. Actually, great example. When Phil got fired from the helicopter company, the day he came home and he said, hey, I got laid off and all that bullshit, who's the person that he called? First person. Because I'm sure his dad was at work or his dad knew, but the first person he called was John. And John dropped whatever he was doing to drive 3 fucking hours out there to chill with Phil and play a game. Well, 3 hours round trip. First person he ran to was John. And then only to reinforce that situation with John, because like I said, I'd only discovered this recently. Phil and John didn't actually meet each other until after Phil's Evo 2005 4th place finish. I didn't know that. So when Phil is fighting to legitimize his 4th place finish at Evo, you also have to think, or at least I think, about the things that he also acquired afterwards. Whatever little notoriety and some of the friendships that he ended up developing afterwards. That's how he met John. Apparently he didn't know John before that moment. He met John after the fact. And in a lot of ways, he kind of throws it up there in the story that was when he told this, that it was because he hit 4th place at Evo's how John is the reason why him and John met. So it runs a little bit deeper than just, you know, kind of the surface level shit. Just something to think about, though. Something to think about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? I think I've kind of gotten my point across as far as I see it. There'll probably be a greater deep dive of this for Struggle Against the Grease later on down the line. I already have the next couple of them kind of circulating in my head. Mario Sunshine. There's some other things too that I also the State of Decay 2 nonsense. We'll deep dive into that. Fun stuff when it comes to that. And then yet again, the Snort Report. Hopefully those 3 episodes can be worked out. and then those will go up accordingly. But this hopefully will hold you off until then. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it, and I'll see you guys for the next one, whenever that may be, hopefully sooner than later. For DSP News, the Snort Report, Tim Snortons, for Goutopia, I've been your host / anchor. Take care of yourselves, guys.